everywhere we go, we are actually fragile. Okay, everywhere we are going, we are actually fragile in this era of COVID-19. So what happened to those are not, affected by this uh, virus? You need to take care yourself. Yeah, follow the SOP. Always remind yourself and your family and your colleagues. So because of that, I would like to start our lecture today on that particular things lah. This one, yeah. I believe this announcement was already viral, yeah? Because I received this advertisement. I call it advertisement lah, because we all every day we came up with new announcement. So announcement nowadays is like boleh besar pula, eh? Announcement nowadays is like advertisement every day. So because of that, I also want to advertise myself and Sir James once again to you all. Yeah. Okay. So one important note I shared last week is about how to make yourself a competent communicator. So in order to be competent, competent communicators, you have to have these 5 characteristics. Yeah, these 5 elements in the communication. The first one is self-awareness. Self-awareness here referring to when you communicate with people, make sure you are in control of your behaviors, in control of your attitudes, because your behaviors, your attitude will influence the receiver who you are communicating with. This is what we call self-awareness. And then you must be able to process. Cannot see the slide? One of your friends posted cannot see the slide. What about the rest of you? Can you see the slide?
The slide only white square.
Pardon?
Yes. Good.
The slide. Yeah.
Can you see the slide? Okay. Yes. Because one of you posted there, he or she cannot see the slide. So that's why I'm asking. So maybe because of the problem with the using Microsoft Teams. All right. So first is self-awareness. Secondly, cognitive complexity is how your brain process the situation, how your brain process the context of the communication. This is what we call cognitive complexity. Meaning to say that in order to communicate effectively, you need to be able to process the environment so that when you communicate, this environment will not influence what you want to communicate. When we communicate, we need to as well control the environment. Yeah? And then the third one is adaptability, is that not necessarily when we ask something from people, not necessarily when we tell something to people, to other people, that these or other people will agree whatever we are saying. Yeah. So this is what we call adaptability. The minute we know that the receiver did not agree with what we are saying, we are in the process of adapting to communication. And then ethics. When we communicate, we need to follow some ethics. Yeah, ethics is the regulation. What is right, what is wrong. And then empathy. The last one is empathy. Always when we communicate with people, we must try to understand the situation in others' way of understanding. So these are the 5 characteristics on how you can become a competent communicator. This is a good elements, yeah, in understanding how you can communicate professionally, right? So above all, the most important thing is credibility. From the video last week, you learned about ethos, logos, and pathos. And ethos is the credibility. Ethos plays the main role in communication when compared to the other tools. of logos and pathos. Ethos here refer to your credibility as the speaker. If you want people to understand, if you want people to interact with you, you must have the credibility. Credibility can be in three form, but the one that I want to stress on you is on the yourself as being the right person to talk about something. Okay, that kind of credibility I'm referring to. Another form of credibility, there are another two. If you remember, the voice, the voice controlling the voice, and the other one is the content of the communication. So these are credibility. So basically, last week you learned about this, and also last week I shared with you about the direction of communication. This one indirectly I discussed earlier, in which when we learn about communication, corporate communication, it is about internal communication and external communication. When we say internal communication, it is the communication between us and our colleagues. For example, if the organization has many departments, actually the way you communicate with other colleagues in other departments is called internal communication. External communication is when you communicate with people outside the organization. So remember, basically corporate communication is about the communication done internally and externally. And also last week you learned about this Mehrabian formula. Mehrabian formula was developed by Professor Mehrabian from California State University, if I'm not mistaken. In his study, he found out that in most of the time when people communicate, our non-verbal communication is more effective than our verbal communication in influencing others. That means that when we talk to others, basically people will respect us, people will agree with us, people will accept our opinion when they see our body is moving. Okay, that is how I define non-verbal communication. Just imagine you talk to other people, your body posture is very straight, okay, and you don't have any facial expression. Whatever you speak out to others, they will not be influenced. So that's why very important. When we speak, we try to produce. You see, my hand is moving like the way I move my hand in my videos. When you speak, your body language must go in line with what you are talking, the content of your speech. That is how we influence others to listen to us, right? And most important thing also, I don't know whether I discussed with you or not, when we speak, we must use the approach of pausing. P-A-U-S-E, pause. Okay, don't speak, don't give a speech, for example, like this. In my opinion, I think this is very that's wrong. You must pausing. For example, in my opinion, pause. I believe, pause. That pause. This is what we call pausing. P-A-U-S-E, or pausing. Pausing means when you speak, when you communicate, you must try to use as many comma as possible. Comma, for example, you stop, but not definitely make a stop lah. For example, okay, in my opinion, I believe. This is pausing. So that is actually what you should do when you communicate with people. What happens is that during the pausing, you support your pausing with body language. For example, in my opinion, pausing, non-verbal communication. I believe, go along with the rhythm. I believe, for example. This is what we call pausing. So that is how Mehrabian come up with that formula. Okay, the formula in which when we speak, the non-verbal communication are more influential than the contents of our speech. All right? Okay. So far, okay? Are you okay? Can I respond? Okay. Okay. Yes or no?
Okay, doctor. Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
doctor.
Okay. All right. Okay. Don't forget to drink water. Yeah. Take some water and sip the water because we need water nowadays a lot because it's very hot out there. Okay. So according to Mehrabian as well, 55% of body language influence our communication. 38, the tone of the voice, and then only 7% the words or the content of the speech. All right. Now that is about what you have learned last week lah. What you have learned in brief last week. So this week is a very interesting topic. It is about culture, diversity, and global engagement. In Smart 3V, I uploaded 3 YouTube links. Okay, if you have time, not if you have time, please find time. Please find time to watch the 3 videos so that you will understand better what do we mean by culture, diversity, and global engagement. I uploaded 3 videos. So when we talk about cultures, so in this topic, there are some objectives, actually some 6 objectives in learning this topic. The first one, you need to know the difference between culture and co-culture. The second one is primary forms of human diversity. Why there is a diversity? What is, okay, all this while people look diversity negatively. Actually, diversity, if we look at it and we want to control our communication with others, we must see diversity as a positive thing. I will share with you. The third objective is the major cultural dimensions. What are they? For one, behavioral strategies for adapting to cultural norms and custom, norms or norma. Then 5 ways of engaging diversity in an ethical manner. And the last objective for this topic is on how we can proficiently communicate with different culture. So I start with the first one, culture and diversities. In order to know cultures and diversity, I would like to point out, the what is culture and what is co-culture. Okay, culture, for example, if you are Malay, you have your own culture. If you are Chinese, you have your own culture. If you're Indian, you have your own cultures, and if you are Bumiputra, Sabah and Sarawak, you have your own culture. And if you are from various countries in the world, you also have your own cultures. In general, all the cultures are not similar to one another. What makes them a common culture is that all the cultures are actually what they learn from their ancestor, nenek moyang. Yeah. So culture basically not a new thing. Cultures already embedded in our life from our grandparents or ancestor. So this is cultures. So in Malaysia, we have so many cultures, and at the end of the day, people in Malaysia agree with one culture. And that one culture is when we have similar way of respecting others, similar ideas of having various celebration in the national level and so on. So this is cultures. And co-cultures, what is co-cultures? Co-cultures is when you are in a group of people that you are align yourself to belong to that group. So when you align yourself to belong or to become a member in a particular group, that group will develop a co-cultures. So it is a bit different from cultures in general definition. Co-cultures, for example, if you like to play Dota, you know what is Dota? D-O-T-A? Masih ramai nih yang suka Dota, I know. So if you are a Dota, like to play Dota, you will get along with many people who like to play Dota. So those people who like to play Dota, their living time is from 12 midnight to 3 a.m. I think lah. So this is the cultures. They develop. This is the core cultures. They develop the core cultures that at certain times we get together. And then another group, core cultures, for example, those who like Korean movie. Korean movie. So those who like Korean movie, they will every time when they meet, they speak Korean. For example. I'm not saying Korean is not good. Korean is good. Yeah, I like to watch Korean movie as well. I learn something from Korean movie. But I also like movies, Chinese movie, Japanese movie, and so on. Yeah. Actually, why I like different cultures, because it is from the movie. Yeah. One of the mechanism from the movie that we learn to respect other cultures. Sorry. Okay. So I will tell you about respecting cultures later on. So co-culture. Co-culture is when you align yourself to a group of people who like to do something. So for example, I'm using to example just now those who like to play Dotas, D-O-T-A, and those who like to watch Korean movie, for example. There are many examples. This is what we call. This is how co-culture exists. Diversity. What is diversity? So diversity is actually there is a notion. Yeah? There is a notion in BM Bahasa Melayu. Kekuatan dalam kelainan. For example, a strength in diversity, which means that by being a member in a different background of people, we actually possess so many strengths when we communicate with other people. Imagine you only get together with those Malay, get together with those Chinese, get to go together with those Indians, get together with those ethnics in doing your CSR group. Okay, in doing your CSR group. At the end of the day, you don't learn anything because you did not learn from other cultures. That's why in your CSR group, as I advised last week, yeah, Dr. Ujin also, that the CSR group must have different origin of students. Yeah. Don't only from Sabah, don't only from Peninsula, from Sarawak, from Malaysia, from China, and so on. Okay, you must have mix of student background in your CSR group, because having that differences, that diversity, you are going to produce excellent ideas. Yeah, in your CSR. So basically, when we talk about diversity, it is about gender, races, religion, generational identity. I'm referring for you all. You are Generation Z, millennial generation, Generation Z. I and your parent could be Generation X. Okay, Generation X, and younger than us are Generation Y. How to differentiate this generation? One benchmark is the date of birth, and the other one is the technology era and non-technology era. So you can read it by yourself. Yeah, how people define generation. All right. So what is culture? Culture is the totality of learned, shared symbols, language, values, and norms that distinguish one group of people from another. Okay, I used the example before. Those who enjoy play Dota, they always get together with the Dota team. Those who like Manchester United, EPL, English Premier League, they always align themselves with Manchester United group, MU. Those who like Liverpool, they always align themselves with the Liverpool fans. So these are what we call core cultures. Okay, I belong to MU fan, yeah? Manchester United. All right, I was very, I'm not fanatic lah. I enjoy to call myself as Manchester United fan. Okay, ini ramai kan ni Manchester United. Okay, and this is core cultures. This is core culture. So when I assume that I am in the depth core cultures, I always buy a T-shirt of Manchester United, for example, and then others as well. Tak boleh panjang-panjang nanti marah grup lain kan. Nowadays Manchester United, okay lah, quite good lah kan. Liverpool semalam dia menang 3-0. All this while kalah saja kan Liverpool. For example, so this is what happened to those if you are in the core culture. Alright, next slide. Okay, a group of people indirectly, I discuss with you all, I share with you all what is core culture. So the rest of the slide is more on the definition. You need to read it as well lah. And then nationality is also diversities. Okay, nationalities, ethnicity, race indirectly. I already told you about this diversity. Kekuatan dalam kepelbagaian. I just remembered. Not kelainan. Kekuatan dalam kepelbagaian. This is socio-economic status. Some diversity because low income group, middle income group, higher income groups. This is what we call SES, socio-economic status. And then sex, gender, and sexuality, also diversities in the group. Religion, okay, and then generational identity. I talk about generation Y, generation X. You all are generation Z, yeah, millennial, and so on. And then ability. So also we have differences in abilities. Maybe you heard about OKU and so on. Yeah? So these are part of some diversity that we need to accept so that we could practice the elements of empathy when we communicate. Okay, and then identify the way cultures vary. Understanding how cultures vary and how to adapt the cultural norms and customs can lead to effective professional communication on a global scale. These statements refer to that. If we learn about cultures, we are going to adapt to other cultures, because understanding other cultures will ensure the effectiveness of our communication. All right. Hofstede cultural dimensions. This is one of the theory widely used in communication cultures. Yeah, in the communication cultures. Hofstede is actually the dimension whereby it is about understanding the difference between individualism and collectivism. So when we communicate with people from other countries, okay, when we communicate with people from America, United States of America, if we want to communicate with people from Japan, if we want to communicate with people from Middle East or with people from China, we must know which one is actually the dimension of The first one, individualism and collectivism. Okay, individualism and collectivism refer to the way people express themselves, the way people express themselves. For example, in Malaysia, we are actually collectivism society. China as well, collectivism society. Middle East, yes, collectivism society. Japan, collectivism society. But USA, American, they are individualism society. Britain, England, most Europes, they are also individualism society. Please understand, I'm not referring to being individualistic, not individualistic, but I'm referring to how actually they practice their culture, how actually they practice their cultures. For example, in Malaysia, we are practicing collectivism, in which it is a normal behavior when we want to decide a thing. When am I the one see the slide all plain white? I don't know what one of your colleagues asking, am I the one see the slide all plain white? What about the others? Can you see my slide with content?
Yes, doctor.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's mean the one that asking is having maybe he has his lunch yet, yeah. So don't worry, if you are hungry, go and get your lunch, eat in front of the laptop or desktop, yeah. I'm just kidding. No hard feeling. Okay, so that is collectivism and individualism. For example, in Malaysian context, when we try to decide things, we prefer to ask others. So this is what we call collectivism. But in most countries, Western countries, when they already elected as the leader, they always have a good responsibility to decide on behalf of the group. And they straight away can say yes or no. Different from Malaysian, when even though we have the authority, it is a normal norm to refer to others when we are asked. So this is how individualism and collectivism being differentiated. Yeah? And low and high context, this is whereby people in Western countries, they are low context. In Malaysian, China, Japan, and so on, in Middle East, we are high context. What is the meaning of high and low? High and low mean referring to the directness of communicating to others. Power distance, the gap between you and others. Okay, last time this one I enjoy to share with students. In last semester, I also share with the student, and previous also I shared with the student power distance. I went to USA. I went to USA in 1987, 1987. None of you were born yet, yeah? 1987, I already 19 years old. When I went to United States, I was 19 years old. So what happened? My body is not as big as today lah. My body was not so big, not so big but handsome. The one of course. And then I look like what? So and then in my class, we had this group discussion lah, like you all lah. So what happened and actually in most of the American universities, I noticed gender in terms of gender, there are many women there are many female than male. So in my group, there are 5 of us, and I'm the only guy, the only male. So what happened when we have this discussion? The rest of them, one is from Mexico, the four are from American lah. So all are women, female. So what happened when we have discussion? We sit very close to one another. I was very culture shock that time. Ya, tahu lah kan saya ni pemalu. And then when we discuss, they touch my hand and so on. They hug me. This is the power distance I'm trying to share with you all lah. So I smile all the way lah. I smile all the way, being treated like that because to them that is the power distance. For me that is not power distance. That is masalah, for example. Yeah. So problem. So when we communicate with people from different cultures, don't straight away judging them negatively. Okay, don't straight away judging them negatively because that is their cultures, power distance. And the way we perceive things is not similar with what they perceive things. For example, in my case, they don't have any feeling to me, but I thought all of them like me, for example. So that is power distance. And uncertainty avoidance. Uncertainty avoidance is the culture whereby people in non-Western countries like Malaysia, we don't like to take a risk. This is uncertainty avoidance. The minute we hear that it is jeopardize ourselves when we have when we have a relationship with others through communication, we straight away trying to avoid it. So this is the attitude of those from non-Western, different from Western. They dare to go for the risk, but not all the same. But this is more or less based on off-state cultures research, more or less macam like the non-Western, we are high in uncertainty avoidance, but for Western, low in uncertainty avoidance. And last thing that off-state discuss is on the masculine and feminine. Okay, what do you know about masculine and feminine? For that one, I let you to go to explore further. What is masculine and feminine? Because I'm going to ask you one of the question or two of the question is about masculine and feminine. So please do your own research, study about what is masculine and feminine. This is a tips. All right. So that is about off-state. So I also provide in the slide examples. Okay, take time to read the examples so that you will better understand of what off-state is about. Off-state is a very famous, very popular cultural dimension theory. It has been referred by many scholars every year. Even though this research was done decades ago, but still off-state cultural dimension is one of the most popular theory or research findings when people want to learn about cultural dimension. All right, so okay, adapting to cultures. Allow me to drink water first. And allow me to read one message. Everybody okay? Are you okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Very good, very good. If you are not okay, don't shy to PM me or to email me. If you have any question, okay. Usually I will reply every question if you email me. All right. I always reply. I always reply when students ask me something lah, if they are not clear, for example, Okay, adapting to cultures. So for this one, this slide is about how can we make ourselves so that we can communicate well with people from other cultures, from other nations. So in order to do that, we must understand the social customs of the people. As this is similar to the cultures that I shared with you earlier, the social custom. In fact, for example, in Japan, when we meet people, we did not shake hand. We bow. We bow. And then in Middle East, for example, they hug one another. So that's why I told you all, in order to communicate well, you need to perceive people based on the culture, not based on your culture. If we base on our culture, for example, hugging, you don't want to hug. But if you did not hug them, it will hurt their feeling. It's like not respecting their cultures, for example. So that's why we need to understand the social norm. But make sure lah, you know that the gender difference, not necessarily you follow the custom if the gender is different. And then norms for touch and proximity. Just now I talked about the distance, physical distance. Remember my story when I was 19 years old, but when I started my first year in 1988, 1988, my first year, and then second year 1988 and 89, and my final year is 1990. I graduated from West Texas A&M University in Texas, USA, December 20, 1990. You see, I remember the day I graduated. You know why I remember the day I graduated? I have a very interesting story to share with you all. I will share it in my Instagram. I will share this interesting story in my Instagram. So make sure you follow my Instagram. I remember until today, the day I graduated, December 20, 1990, because of my shoes. Later, I will post my graduation photo, and please look at my shoes. Because of that shoes, I remember I graduated December 20, 1990. So, okay. Expected level of formality. Some cultures, they are informal. Some cultures, they are formal. Time orientation. Remember when making deals with people from Japan, for example, they are very attentive when come to time. If you are late 5 minutes, the business is gone. If you early 5 minutes, just sit there, no worry. But if you are late, this is what we call time orientation. When we deal with people, we must know how firm they are when we discuss things by following the agreement on the date, time, and so on. Very particular. I'm saying about particularity. Okay, gender roles. Okay. Some countries, they are women oriented. Some countries, they are men oriented. It happens nowadays. Last time it's difficult to find countries with women oriented, but nowadays yes, because if you notice, many great nations nowadays have a woman their leaders. And then tolerance for conflict, how tolerant they are. So these are all the things that you need to adapt well in order to communicate with people from different cultures. Okay, just now I share about personal touch and proximity. So this is the further elaboration of that personal distance, the touch and disparity. So if you notice, nowadays we are being 1 meter away from other people. It is mentioned in the theory. This theory, actually, when we social distance, look at the social distance. Nowadays, everywhere we go, there is a sign saying that please make yourself 1 meter away. So that is what we call personal distance. But in order to fight the infection of COVID, we must practice social distance, not personal distance. Look at the social distance measurement. It is about 4 to 12 feet, 1 meter and above. Okay, 1 meter and above. So if you only 1 meter and below, it's not the SOP. Okay, the SOP is on the social distance, not personal distance. All right. Addressing diversity in an ethical manner. More or less, this slide is referring to, like what I said earlier, when we communicate with people in different cultures, one thing for sure is that we have different opinion with one another on particular things. So that different opinion between us and the other parties is what we call diversity. In treating this diversity, actually, we must try to perceive on the context of receivers, other parties. That is why this article is referring to ethical manner. There is a manner in saying no. For example, when we go to Middle East, their behavior of greeting one another is hugging, and you are not not convenient to do that. But don't straight away when your friends from other culture, your business partner from other culture want to hug you, you say no. That is not ethical. The way of saying no, there is other way of saying no. So this is the article. This slide is about that. How we refuse to also practice other cultures. There is a way, the nice way. Okay, you can go find ways of giving excuse from Google. There are many ways of giving excuses. And cultural proficiency referring to similar like the previous slide, how we can be, how whatever we do, whatever we say will not hurt the feeling of others. This is what we call cultural proficiency. All right. So the first one is you must cultivate the cultural awareness. You must learn as many cultures as possible before you're making contact with people from different cultures. So the first one is cultivate cultural awareness inside you. Secondly, practice perspective taking. Perspective taking here refer to perception. Okay, try to avoid negative perception. Try to look at perception as something like a positive diversity. Okay, different opinion, not necessarily negative outcome. Negative opinion, others' opinion, even though look not right to us, but we must try to adjust it so that we can, agree with other perception. This is perspective taking. Avoid cultural centrism, referring to when you think that your culture is the best, other culture second best. The minute you have that thinking, you already practice cultural centrism. Avoid cultural centrism. Adapt to changing cultural norms. Okay, nowadays, because of this COVID-19, we have new norms. Remember, the first time when we was shocked by COVID-19, when people start wearing masks. Remember that time, if you try to throw back yourself during the first period when this COVID-19 started, when people start wearing masks, you also feel awkward, right? You feel malu-malu, segan-segan. Malu-malu mau pakai itu mask. You are that is your attitude that day, behaviors. But nowadays, try to go to the public and without wearing mask. It's opposite already. If you go to the public nowadays, not bringing your mask, you feel awkward because everybody is wearing mask. And if you are brave enough, you will get 10,000 fine, for example, or 300 ringgit. Okay, so this is what we call adapting to changing cultural norms. Last time we are not enjoy doing online, but nowadays we think that online is we can speak out our mind, outline can develop our skills. Tengok macam sir kan balik-balik buat video kan, tapi I did the video for the purpose because I'm teaching corporate communication. I want my student to learn that in order to communicate, we must be creative. In order to be creative, we must be innovative. In order to innovative, we must make sure that the content is about people, not about ourselves. Alright? Indirectly, I want to up my video kan. Make sure you subscribe my video. Sempat juga kan kamu ni promote. Okay. So this week I upload. So far okay. So far okay.
Okay, sir.
I just want to share with you all lah. Last time when we don't have this COVID-19 kan, I managed to go to the classes, the lectures physically lah. So my student, like you all, the numbers is in between 200 actually. Last time it was 200 per class, my students lah. So every time when I deliver my lecture in the college and in the lecture hall, it's like I enjoy looking at everyone's face. Yeah, all of them always have a very happy face. And for those who are not happy, I always tell them that maybe you are not happy because you are hungry and so on. But nowadays, facing you all, I only see some of your profile photo. So that is a challenge to the lecturer. Yeah? It's a challenge to us actually. So make full use of being online. Make effort. Make effort to expose your talent. Yeah. So the way you expose your talent is doing the homework, doing the assignment, doing the group project. Only from that I can give you a good grade. So for example, today and last week I uploaded activity and today is assignment. So even though this activity and assignment did not count for your total grades, let me be frank to you all, yeah. Even though the activities and the assignment that I uploaded I did not put in the grading, yeah, but they make a big difference when you are when you are in the border of C- to C+, C+ to B, and so on. So that's why please make sure you always do whatever assignment or activity that I upload in Smart 3V. Yeah? Okay, that is the tip. So this article I uploaded in the Smart 3V, accompanying questions. There are accompanying questions, 2 of them. Read the question in the Smart 3V. Alright, and I put it tutorial assignment because once I receive the answers, I will pass it to Sir Ujin to record it. I want to make this as one of the assignment from tutorial. Alright, and then so basically this is what this is the output of our lecture for today. The output, the first one is we need to appreciate other cultures. We need to to align our conduct with when we communicate with others. Engagement, how do we engage with others, and communicate effectively, efficiently, proficiently. So that's all for this week.